chatting with Purple Car Life. You can see I'm here with the Ford 8N today. In the previous video last week about the Ford 8N plowing snow, we had a lot of comments. These are a great tractor and they do have a lot of interest. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about this. Some people ask if we could go over the controls, how to start this machine, and how to operate it. So I'd love to do that today. If you're new to the channel, I've got several videos about this 8N. We put the stabilizer bracket on it. We did some brush hogging with this. I'll put links to those videos up above, but you can also look through our channel, search for Ford 8N, Purple Car Life, and you'll see videos about this tractor. Now, as I've said in previous videos, this tractor has been in the family for multiple generations. It's been right here on the family homestead its entire life. So it's awesome that this tractor is here today and able to be used by us. I've also mentioned in a previous video that I had my own Ford 9N/2N. We called it a 9N, but if you look back at the serial numbers, it was actually classified a 2N. And there are some differences between the 9N, the 2N, and the 8N. In order of build, the 9Ns came first, then the 2Ns, and there were a lot of 2Ns. They often get miscalled a 9N, but the 9N and the 2N are so similar that it really doesn't matter. And then there was the 8N. And there were several variations of the 8N. This particular variation was one of the early 8Ns. It has a front mount distributor rather than a side mount distributor, and that's one of the ways you know the difference between the early 8Ns and the later 8Ns. So let's go through the process of starting this particular 8N up. And I'll tell you that every Ford tractor that I've known, and even the cockshut that we used to have, had its own personality. And you learn the best way to start it. You know, everyone's not exactly the same when it comes to starting a tractor. And I'll show you the process for this particular 8N that seems to work best. And then I'll talk you through what worked best on the cockshut 540 and what worked best on my Ford 9N. Most of these older tractors do have a fuel shutoff. This Ford is no different. And the best method for this Ford tractor, and was also the same for my 2N/9N, is 2 turns open. So I spin it twice so that it opens on the top after going around 2 times. On many of these older tractors, the power takeoff runs whenever the clutch is out, and that's true of this 8N. It was true of my 9N/2N. So you always want to, when you're starting it up, turn that power takeoff off. On this tractor, that's that lever right there, pulled forward. In my experience, this particular 8N starts best at just under half throttle. So you can see here's the throttle. That is low throttle. That's high throttle. So I like to be right about there to start up the machine. This is your choke. On this particular 8N, I find that it starts best with the choke all the way out. And I pull the choke out before I start turning over. On my old 2N, the system was a little different. I found with that particular tractor, I'd want to start the starter and then pull out the choke. So like I say, you know, every tractor's got its own little personality, a little bit different, and you kind of learn with each tractor what works best to make a start. In this tractor, pull the choke out before we hit the start button. Now on these 8N tractors, these pedals on the right-hand side are your brakes. So the outside right-hand pedal is your right brake. The inside right-hand pedal is your left brake. That's different than on the 2N/9N. On the old 9N or 2N tractors, there's 2 pedals on this side. The outside one is the brake, the inside one is the clutch. So it will vary depending on what model tractor you're on. But again, this 8N tractor, right brake, left brake. So that means that on this 8N tractor, the only pedal on the left-hand side is the clutch. Plus, pressing it down engages the clutch. Now, as you can see by the alternator here, this 8N tractor has been converted to 12 volt, which makes it start much faster. Before it was 12 volt, when it was the original 6 volt, and my old Ford 2N/9N tractor was a 6 volt, they'd have to turn over a long time, especially in the cold, or if they were cold, to start up. This tractor with the 12 volt conversion starts very quickly. For safety reasons, it's always best to start a tractor while you're on it. So to start the tractor, I'm going to go ahead and engage the brakes, push the clutch down, and put my transmission in neutral. Now, if you're not familiar with the transmission on a tractor, each of them have a little bit of a different shifting pattern. The 8N's different than the 9N. but if you pull it out of a gear towards center, which could be either pushing up or pulling down, you'll be able to slide the shifter side to side and know that it's not in gear. On the 8N and the 2N series, this button is the starter, and this is your key. So turning the key simply turns the tractor to an on position where it's ready to start and run, and pushing the starter is what engages that starter to start the tractor. So again, we've got the choke all the way out on this tractor. We'll just push this down until it starts up, then release that button, and it'll be running. There we go, started right up. Once it's running, you want to push that choke all the way in. You don't ever want to run it with the choke somewhat out. You want to have it adjusted so that when you have the choke all the way in, is when it runs normally for operation. Now you can see moving the throttle up will raise the engine speed. Moving the throttle down will lower that engine speed. I mentioned before that this little lever is what engages the power takeoff, or the PTO. And on the 8N and the 2N series, the PTO is also what engages the 3-point hitch raise and lower. So in order to raise your 3-point hitch, you have to have the PTO engaged, and I'll show you how that works. Now this particular handle is your draft control, which means how low the 3-point hitch is raised or lowered. You see, if I push it down, the 3-point hitch actually drops a little bit. When I pull this up, if the tractor were running and the power takeoff were running, that would raise the lift arms. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now, but remember, you have to have the tractor running, pushing on the clutch to engage that power takeoff lever down here on my left-hand side, and then raise and lower this. And I'll put the camera back behind so you'll see that that whole time the power takeoff is running. That's always a safety concern. You want to make sure that nothing is backed by that power takeoff, because if it grabbed a piece of your clothing or hair or string or chain, it would twist around there, and that could be seriously injury hazard potential. So you always want to be mindful that when that power takeoff is running, that will be spinning, and you want to stay clear of that. So push the clutch down. See the power takeoff is spinning. When I pull up on this lever, it raises the arms. When I push down, it lowers the arms. As soon as I would disengage that power takeoff control, it would stop lifting. It would still lower, but it wouldn't allow you to lift those arms anymore. So usually when you're running, like doing something like back dragging or moving snow, or even brush hogging, that's going to be on all the time, because for brush hogging you need the power takeoff spinning, and for constantly raising and lowering the arms for something like snow plowing or back dragging, you need to be able to raise and lower that as necessary. Now I don't know if you'll notice or not, but when I started that time, since it's already warmed up, it did not need the choke. So I didn't pull the choke out at all. I just turned the key, hit the button, made sure my foot was on the brakes and the clutch, and it started right up. The 4-8N tractor you can get on either side. My John Deere tractor, because it's got the joystick here, you can get on this side, but it's always easiest to get on from the left. The Ford tractor you can get on either side. The Ford tractors do have somewhat of a parking brake, but it's not a great system. Whenever you push the brake down, you see it pushes this entire lever, and back here there is a little swivel piece. So when you push it down, if you lock that in place, that's somewhat of a parking brake, but I would not rely on it. It works okay, but not great. Obviously, the better your brakes are, the better the parking brake works. And you can do the same thing on this side. There's another piece over here that when you push this down, you can lock that brake in place. But again, it doesn't work great and it's not an ideal system. Now these Ford tractors do have a manual transmission. The 8N is a 4-speed with reverse. So first, second, third, fourth, and reverses all the way over and to the right. So you have to push down the clutch and then choose a position. Here's if I were in first, second, third, fourth, and all the way over and up is reverse. Now, unlike a car, you cannot shift on the fly. You cannot be moving at speed and shift from first to second to third. That's not how you work the transmission of a tractor. For a tractor, you simply select the gear you want to be in, your final gear, and then let the clutch out and you're in that gear. You don't shift up through the gears. So let's go ahead and start the tractor up, and we'll show you how engaging the transmission works. Now let's say I wanted to go in reverse. I would just put the gear shifter over and up in reverse while I'm holding the clutch down. You can see my foot's on the clutch over here. And as soon as I let out the clutch, you'll see the ground will start moving because we'll be moving backwards. Now to go forward, let's say we wanted to go in second gear, put it down in second gear, let off the brake, let off the clutch, you'll see we're moving forward. Back up. So I hope you enjoyed this brief little tutorial of how I start and operate the Ford 8N tractor. If you like videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up button. Like I said, we've got lots of other great videos on our channel about tractors, chainsaws, this Ford 8N, the John Deere tractor, the log splitters, all kinds of rural Western Pennsylvania living. So if you like videos like that and you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you following us along. This is the first video I haven't been wearing a coat on in a while. It's like a heat wave here. It's 44 degrees. So you can see it's a little bit muddy. Everything's starting to thaw out. Hopefully that means spring is coming. I have had fun plowing a lot of snow this winter, but I'm ready to get into some summertime routine here. I like the days are a little bit longer now, so it allows me to get some work done at nighttime outside. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again the next time. So like I said, every tractor has its own little bit of personality. This particular 8N, the choke has to be out all the way before you hit that start button. On my 9N, you had to hit the start button and then pull the choke out and kind of feather it in and out to get it to start. And the old cock shut, you had to have the choke out all the time when they were starting it, even when it was warm. So if you've got an older tractor like this and it has its own personality, comment down below what system you use to start it up, what works best for you. It may just help someone else out.